Is it gonna belly flop? Like, what is it supposed to do? Yeah, is this one of them? Is this one of them North Korean ICBMs? It's supposed to belly flop, stall all the way down, and then flip at the end? Shut the fuck up. Okay, that's actually pretty sick. Okay, I take it back. This is actually cool as fuck. Really? That's nuts. Like, literally.
Coming up on
Yeah, they should have just made Bog control the missile, dude, if they wanted to see a fucking wicked, awesome trick.
3 Raptor engines to begin the flip sequence. It'll culminate with landing on the landing pad in Boca Chica.
6 months Pogo Arjan Pogo.
What the fuck? Okay, that looks like CGI. Okay, that literally looks like CGI, dude. There's no way that's real. That straight up looks like fucking CGI. Oh my god, that was so sick.
Thanks to Sonia for my sub gift. Wicked.
That was fucking sick, dude. Wait, we gotta run that again. That was CGI, right? There's no way that was real.
Yeah.
Brother, there's no fucking way that was real, brother. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think it's just CGI to show the flip. There's no fucking way that that was real. There's... What the fuck? What? Okay, we gotta run that again. Oh shit, it's on fire!
That's capping a beautiful test flight of Starship 10. As a reminder, the key point of today's test flight was to gather the data on controlling the vehicle while re-entering, and we were successful in doing so. We had a nominal ascent. We had the maneuver to place Starship horizontal when we reached 10 kilometers, right on time. And then during the subsonic entry, it appears we had good control of the vehicle using the front and aft flaps. And as we approached the landing pad, we successfully lit the 3 Raptor engines to perform that flip maneuver. And then we shut down 2 of them and landed on the single engine as planned. A beautiful soft landing of Starship on the landing pad at Boca Chica.
This is fucking nuts,
also,
dude. It's
congratulations to the Starship team in Texas. They've steadily increased the test launch cadence over the course of the program and have delivered some of the most exciting test flights.
By the way, that's the difference between different frame rates. If a camera captures more frames and you switch to it, it'll literally look fake. It's I'm just kidding when I say it's CGI.
Ready to roll out to the in the very near future.
It's very likely. It just looks weird. I know it looks weird, but
space flight. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope you'll join us for the next test flight of Starship 11.
Previous Raptors were not, you know, producing enough thrust, so yeah, it fell quicker those times, so
yeah,
makes sense.
I'm wondering if it's leaking or are they venting?
Yeah, so that, I mean...
Here comes the flip, and
filling about Starship SN10.
You see it's translating horizontally now.
Yeah. You can see the single point of light. You see the single Raptor engine that's online. You see it.
Gorgeous.
Single engine holding up that 120.
Look at these fucking nerds. Listen to these nerds.
In the hover right now.
Yo, that's where Vigors is, dude. You can hear them right now. OOC.
Engine, that Soul engine is throttling to maintain 10 kilometers right now, getting ready to flip it.
It's a single Raptor engine.
Here comes the flip and shut down.
I'm so glad I traded all of my amiibos to be able to be here.
I love this stuff.
Oh, look at that! You can really
This is sick. This is so sick.
Look
this
at
is
the
so
flaps
sick.
Holding
this is so fucking sick.
There, controlling.
It's gonna fall on beach cam.
No, we gotta look at this. Look at this. This is from the side.
This is Jack over at South Padre, and look at the shot
Nerds.
from the side here,
Making
folks.
fun of your brother? I mean, I
Look
would
at
absolutely make fun of him
insane
for this, but it's
speed.
so sick.
Look
really
at how rock
do.
solid that is again.
Those are
My
not just air
lord.
brakes. Look at this.
They are
Mary is
pog.
Oh
bang
my
on.
gosh!
Oh
You
my
can
God.
see the recirculation up above it of like the vapors getting caught.
Yeah,
In
there's
the
a
airstream.
Starship in every camera that I can show you. I don't know what to use. I have a screen filled with starships right now. Look at this, though.
All right. So as it continues to fall, there's about a minute left in flight. As a reminder, all 3 Raptor engines will reignite for the flip and burn, and if all 3 successfully reignite,
It literally sounds
one
like
will be
Vigors, dude.
selected to
I
be
miss
shut
him so
down,
much.
and 2 will actually perform the landing burn. That's the goal.
Oh, look, coming through
Let's
the
see if
clouds. Look
Starship
at
can
that.
do it. Look
Oh
at
my
that.
God.
Look at this.
at
I
that. Oh.
yeah, I don't know. I just say it.
I'm
Okay.
coming.
All right, here we come.
Engine chill, it looks like.
Here we go.
Right here, the close-up shot.
I'm pogging so
Here we
fucking
go.
hard right now.
Come on,
Last time the
SN10.
rocket blew because
Come
they
on, oh,
didn't
there's
use
my
the
shoes
engine.
One, 2.
This time they tested
Oh,
with 3 engines.
do we
on
have all
the
3 of
ground.
them?
Please.
Oh,
Trying,
Oh!
hovering.
I'm
That
down
was
to the
a-
final
no.
landing
Down to
engine.
single engine.
Was that intentional?
Oh my God, the
Should
legs.
land on 1 engine.
Oh!
Landing leg deployed.
Oh my God.
You can do it. You can do it.
Is it gonna stay?
Oh my
Is it
God.
landing?
It did it.
No.
It did it.
But
It's on the
still
ground.
vertical.
It's vertical.
It's still.
Oh
we're
my
gonna,
God.
I
we're
mean,
gonna let this clear out. Look,
this is the
it's
first
fire down
successful. Is this
but
the
it's
first
on the
successful
ground.
test?
one of these cameras is gonna clear.
Go to
The
the beach,
beach
Dad. Go to the
Come on,
beach. Go to the beach.
has
Go to the beach.
It's the first.
Oh my
It's the first time that
it
a
hasn't landed, Michael. I got it.
rocket
I'm on
ship
it.
successfully
It landed.
flew
I got
and
it.
then landed
it
back
landed.
vertically, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
Look
Gosh.
at this right here.
It's
There is a fire down there.
Without
It
crashing.
is
landed.
vertical.
it landed. That's the important thing.
The
Oh,
landing
yes.
legs did not work.
Yeah,
this
the landing
one?
legs don't look like they worked.
So look at this. Look at it. All the different angles. Look at the beach angle right here. Definitely add a little bit. We've got a leaning towers Boca Chica out there. It is on the ground.
Oh
You
my
know, it's not the
It
first time it's
looks
been done.
like it maybe
SpaceX has done it
crumbled a
before with
little
its
bit. We don't
boosters.
see
Doesn't look like
daylight
the
underneath.
land. It doesn't look like the landing legs deployed.
No,
Yeah.
for this
I saw
supermassive
it.
rocket, the only other
Oxygen
rockets are
now,
Dragons. All can and
Yeah.
have been landing
Right.
regularly.
Yeah, no, they just said it. Yeah.
And there we have.
Watching
the
this is
fire
infinitely
suppression.
more nerdy than role playing as a closet 40K fan club manager and no pixel for 8 hours a day. No, it's not. They're equally nerdy, okay? Only first time for this rocket. SpaceX has been landing rockets. Gosh, nerds are so awesome and cringy at the same time. So the significance of this is that it's a spaceship of this size, right? Like, so it's one that can go all the way to Mars, I assume. Is that what it is?
L.
And the previous ones can't? Or is it just the moon? First Starship to fall. First Starship to fall horizontally and flip and land vertically. The final one is supposed to be twice the size. What? There's nothing cringy about this. They're literally building a rocket. I never said it's cringy. This is fucking awesome. It's
Now
cute.
this is going to be interesting. How
There we
stable
go.
is
It's
that? and
cute how much
long
they're
can it stay in this
pogging.
position? This really shows it leaning backwards. Look at Jack's view here as well. A little bit more
This
context.
is next to the poorest county in the entire country that also has the highest concentration of federal agents in the country. Oh,
You
That's
can
America.
see the lean there. So this is what SpaceX is worrying about. Remember earlier when we saw the SPMT loading up near the crane? This is when we were talking about that crane maybe getting out there to secure it. It is definitely leaning just a little bit.
Wait. Okay. They
I mean,
lit
that shit
all
got
3
fucked
of them
up though, right? Like, I mean, it was on
There's
fire.
your methane
Wait, what?
leak.
Yes.
There's your...
Folks,
What the fuck?
Boom.
wow. And that's why we weren't running replays.
Exactly. Someone got that, right?
Slightly less soft landing now. Wow.
That was awesome!
Jack. Again, a big fire there. Looks to be contained on the landing pad, grabbing a couple different angles, but definitely
Well, and that's what we and that's what I was saying, right? When
Hey guys,
earlier when
what
I
did I
leaning
miss?
backwards. Look at Jack's view here as well. A little bit more context, you can see the lean there. So this is what SpaceX is worrying about. Remember earlier when we saw that crane maybe getting out there to
wait.
Roses are red, violets are blue.
Okay, they
When the
lit
rocket
all
landed,
three of
Hasan
them
boomed, but then it
successfully
went boom.
and shut 2 of them down and did the landing on just 1.
Well,
nice.
yeah, so because they do 3 for the flip, and as long as they're operating nominally, they shut down 1, complete the flip, and then the final touchdown is under
Has to
1,
love
as
this stream
expected.
and chat while
Okay.
I
It
work
looked like
on
the
my art.
it looked like the ignitions were a lot earlier this time.
Yes.
It looked like it was falling on an engine for a much longer time than even SN8, and SN8 had the longest
Wow.
engine burn.
I would point out that that likely points to Raptors
F in
operating
chat.
nominally because the 2 previous Raptors were not, producing enough thrust. So yeah, it fell quicker
True.
those
Fully
times.
reusable
So
both stages.
Yeah.
It's also
Makes
huge and can be refueled in
wondering if it's
space. This that
leaking
you
or are
see
they
here is the
venting?
only second stage. It's only
Yeah,
only in
so that-
prototype.
I mean, that might just be vent. If it was leaking methane,
There's an active fire down there though. Look at
yes,
the base.
yes, there is.
There's
There-
a fucking
there
dude right
is.
there. No,
Okay.
oh no, never
I'm
mind.
not
It's not. It's one of the
discounting that, yeah.
It's
robots.
just oxygen then.
But I guess I'm saying if it was leaking methane, there'd be like a path back somewhere. Like I would have expected it to blow at this point if
Yep.
it was if it was a heavy duty leak. Not discounting that the fire is a good thing. It's not.
Yeah, this is
But
this
but let's
beach
but
angle here.
let's-
Look at this, y'all.
but
It's
let's-
looking like they
but
have
let's-
control of the vehicle.
Italians never had this problem with their
Yes,
shit
but that's
leans.
what
What's
I'm
wrong,
saying.
America? You're right, dude.
Let's focus. Like yes, some things didn't work here. It's vertical and it's on the ground, and they got
Wow.
it back, and that is incredible. They did confirm it was a soft touchdown, so not as they had expected it to be, but
Right.
they did have. But they
Hold
did
on, I want to see the
confirm
bomb.
they
I
had
want to see the
good,
boom again.
Complete control of the vehicle throughout the entire flight.
Rockets are like NASCAR. It's only
So
interesting if
soft
something
touchdown
crashes.
meaning it's
No,
not
I
on
don't
its
agree with you at all.
landing legs, but it didn't blow up. Basically, is
But
that
it
what's the
landed.
soft touchdown?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I've seen Falcon 9 landings worse than that. So
You mean the one where someone created an ugly Christmas sweater of Dawson? And I
Theorist automators of these, and they are
times to be what?
the launch stand.
The most
Wow.
complex.
I think the shot from beach.
Yeah, just
Put me on com. That.
If you need to upload camera right,
Lines are
they're like emptying out their
on a Starship.
to try to do own that is but definitely for now.
That deploy with there's several different potential scenarios. So
did we
unfortunately, the dust kind of kicks up the lower it gets, but I'm sure Elon will tell us what happened.
did we see them
Okay, that
deploy?
dude sounds like
Because
Ken
I
Sama.
saw
Several,
Okay,
maybe
gotcha.
one. The legs have built-in crush. It was
There you go.
a little faster than
Whoa!
expected.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Whoa!
Oh my god.
There you go.
There's your methane leak.
Yes,
There's your
folks.
boom.
Wow. And that's why we weren't running replays.
Exactly.
Ken Sama.
Someone got that, right?
Slightly less soft landing now.
Okay,
Wow.
to whoever said the explosion is intentional, you're wrong. There's no fucking way that that was a part of the test. There's no way that they wanted to blow it up. There was probably a leak as the nerds were explaining.
Couple different angles, but definitely.
Well,
Some
and
fucking
that's
Elon
what
Simpson in the chat literally were like, no, they intend the rockets to blow up, actually.
whatever it wasn't serious in that moment. Not saying it wasn't serious because fire can degrade things, but what you just saw was, yep, the methane caught, and that's what. Yeah.
Yep. Wow. Okay, folks.
So does that count
may
as
need
the
to
first
edit the
Starship
lower-
to fly twice?
Yes.
I was just about to ask.
It did land. I mean, the lower third is technically correct. The part I'm more concerned about is that we're currently at vehicle safing on the timeline.
Vehicle safing. We need a new timeline, Michael.
A little
Also,
red X next to that.
we may need to edit the lower ticker there. It says Starship SN10 has landed. Maybe we should put has landed twice.
In
now.
2013, SpaceX announced that they were going to try plans for Starship.
They wanna
program have
show
been
how
treated
like
to
it'll
some
actually
incredible
land.
Spectacles.
Okay, I'll start from the top.
That
Fuck
they
it.
were going to try landing their Falcon 9 rocket back on Earth. To add to the complexity of this idea, they were going to try landing on a floating drone ship in the middle of the ocean. Something like this had never been done before, and at the
I gotta
time
pee.
it
Hold on.
seemed like an impossible goal. But if it was successful, it would be a massive step forward for rocket reusability. So SpaceX began experimenting with various test vehicles to learn how to land a rocket. After a couple of years and many explosions, SpaceX finally made the impossible possible. 5 years on from that historic first landing, the iconic sight of a Falcon 9 landing has
WTF
become
is this?
routine. With so many launches nowadays, SpaceX have perfected this incredible feat of engineering and saved themselves a lot of money. Each time a Falcon 9 is reflown, they save on the cost of building a brand new booster. In just the last 5 years, this has saved SpaceX over $1.4 billion. To this day, SpaceX is the only company that has landed and reused an orbital rocket booster. But now they are focusing their efforts on Starship and the next evolution of crazy space ideas. Those of us who have followed the Starship program have been treated to some incredible spectacles. The recent SN8 test flight was one of the craziest things SpaceX have ever done, but it showed that their ambitious plans for Starship are more realistic than most of us thought. After all of the crazy things SpaceX have done over the last 5 years, it seemed like things couldn't get any crazier. Until this. On Twitter, Elon casually announced a new plan to land the
Until this, jobless women selling nudes on OnlyFans are struggling to pay bills.
Super Heavy booster. But the plan isn't to land Super Heavy at all. Instead, SpaceX wants to catch it out of the air as it makes its final approach over the launch mount.
It's an entirely different kind of flying, altogether.
It's an entirely different kind of flying.
Although this sounds like another crazy Elon idea, SpaceX aren't the only company to consider catching rockets out of the sky. Rocket Lab is planning on catching their Electron rocket using parachutes and a helicopter.
What?
Back in the 60s, NASA considered catching the enormous Saturn V first stage using a helicopter with rotor blades over 100 meters long. In comparison, SpaceX's idea sounds a little less crazy. But before we look into how and why SpaceX are going with this ambitious idea, I want to thank Private Internet Access for supporting this video.
Jesus Christ.
The Super Heavy booster, but in order to know why, we need to understand the overall goal of Starship. Starship consists of 2 stages, the booster stage called Super Heavy, and the second stage, which is just called Starship. Super Heavy lifts
so we
the
just
second
saw the Starship second stage only. Okay.
stage out of the thickest parts of the atmosphere, and Starship does the rest of the work.
Yeah, nice
to
try,
get into orbit.
Earthlings.
After separating, Super Heavy comes back down to land, just like the Falcon 9. For Starship, the aim is to travel to the Moon and Mars. In order to achieve this, SpaceX will use a fleet of
Imagine
starships
being rolled by
to
literally
refuel
nothing on a
in
below.
space. On top of this, SpaceX also wants to use Starship for Earth-to-Earth passenger travel. This means Starship will need to perform multiple flights a day with a turnaround time on par with airliners. The original plan for Super Heavy was to land directly onto the launch mount, making it instantly ready for its next flight. Although this would have many benefits, it would require a level of precision much greater than SpaceX have shown with their Falcon 9 landings. So SpaceX moved to the idea of landing Super Heavy on a landing pad and using a giant crane to lift it onto the launch mount. This would require at least 6 extremely large landing legs with enough shock absorption to handle the landing. But this is where the problem comes in. For the Falcon 9 landings, the booster needs to be transported back to a refurbishment hangar where many components are replaced and inspected. One of the most critical parts in their refurbishment process is the landing legs. All of this takes an enormous amount of time, which isn't an option for Super Heavy. Removing the legs from the design completely would not only simplify the turnaround time, but it would also save an incredible amount of weight. Every kilogram of mass saved will allow the rocket to carry heavier payloads into orbit. With 6 legs on the Super Heavy, the overall mass of the landing gear would be around 10% of the entire booster upon landing. But without any legs, SpaceX's only option is to catch the booster. This will still require a great amount of precision, since the booster will need to hit its marks almost perfectly. But one of the big advantages Super Heavy has over the Falcon 9 is its ability to hover. Even with just one engine firing, the Falcon 9 is too powerful to hover, so it has to perform a suicide burn. This involves firing its engine at just the right time, bringing the vertical velocity to 0 the moment it touches the ground. Since Super Heavy has more engines than the Falcon 9, it can reduce its thrust-to-weight ratio to 1. This will allow it to hover over the pad and give it extra time to adjust its course. SpaceX will try to catch the booster on its final approach using a giant arm attached to the launch tower. As Super Heavy comes in to land, it will thread the needle between these catching arms until they retract inwards and lock into place. One of the key points about this idea is that the catcher will hook onto the grid fins, which will need to take the load of the entire booster. At first, this seems like an incredible amount of force to exert on the grid fins, but since they are designed to handle a large amount of drag upon re-entry, they are already extremely strong in this direction. Despite this unique method of landing, it will still require shock absorption to handle the last bit of energy and bring the booster to a standstill. Normally, this shock absorption would be handled by the landing legs. On the Falcon 9, the landing legs consist of telescopic tubes that are filled with compressed helium. As the legs fold in on themselves, the compressed gas...
So the legs actually didn't open up, right? Well, I mean, this is the Super Heavy, but the other one is supposed to have that as well, right?
Acts as a shock absorber to handle the
For
last
just
bit
this
of energy.
one. No?
The main thing here is that the shock absorption will be built into the catcher and not the rocket. This will reduce the amount of stress on the rocket.
They don't have similar legs like that one.
SpaceX will likely use a similar system of air suspension, but on a much larger scale. Another theory is that they could use a cable catching system, similar to the ones used on aircraft carriers. This system involves multiple steel ropes laid out on the runway, which are designed to be caught by the tail hook of an aircraft. As the hook connects with the wires, the energy is absorbed by hydraulic damping systems below the deck, quickly bringing it to a halt. Taking all of this away from the rocket and transferring it onto the landing arm will allow Super Heavy to be as light as possible, without putting too much stress on the rocket. But weight saving is only part of the puzzle. The real benefit here is the ability to rapidly...
Dude, I just want to get crushed by that thing, dude.
relaunch the booster. If it can be immediately lowered onto the launch mount after a landing, the booster can be secured, detanked, and
trying to get fucking crushed, dude.
Flight. After all, the detanking process is especially
I'm trying to get fucking crushed by the Falcon 9, dude.
Excess methane after it lands. Methane isn't allowed to be vented into the atmosphere, so SpaceX plans to pump the leftovers back into the tank farm for it to be recondensed and used for the next flight.
Astronomical, pun intended.
Although we might have to wait a few more years for SpaceX to attempt this crazy idea, it's inspiring to see them taking on these incredible engineering challenges. When SpaceX landed their first booster 5 years ago, it made us rethink what is possible and advanced the world of spaceflight massively.
Everything is a dildo if you're brave
no matter
enough.
What happens,
yeah.
It's clear that we are witnessing history being made. If you'd like to support...
Pretty sick. We need an actual spaceship, a vehicle that stays in space and flies orbit to orbit using a launch vehicle to get from surface to orbit in a single stage. If we keep futzing around with rockets like this, we'll never get anywhere. Bro, the biggest fucking problem is getting out of our atmosphere for the time being, okay? It's easy to say that, but even I fucking know that with my himbo brain. And that requires a fuckload of propulsion. Okay, Space Guy has it all figured out. Yeah, literally, like, it's kind of the whole problem. Gravity makes it impossible to fly to space without boosters? Yeah. Unless you did it, I guess maybe you build a moon base or something.
Glad I found your channel. Much love, bro.
Right? You can't, right?
Very cool.
Use the ISS. Everything has gravity of some sorts. No, I know, but I'm saying like
Night days, Pogu.
like having less gravity, wouldn't that be having less gravity like in the moon, wouldn't and not having like any sort of I don't know what I'm talking about. People are gonna dunk on me and say you don't know what you're talking about. So I'm qualifying it first. I'm saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. But having less gravity and not having to fucking go through atmospheric pressure and whatnot, doesn't that greatly change the mathematics and straight up fucking increase the distance that you can traverse? ISS is small, your house is probably bigger. What? The moon has no resource to make stuff with, so you still got to get it from Earth to the moon? Yeah, no matter what happens, you still need to throw a fuckload. You need to launch a fuckload of rockets at the moon, have them also land correctly, inevitably building a moon base. Getting out of our atmosphere is the hardest part of space travel by several orders of magnitude. There is no atmosphere. The Earth is flat, buddy. Hell yeah, brother. You tell them libtards they think them freaking globetards. You know what I'm saying? ISS is the size of a football field, you dingus. I don't know who says ISS is tiny. You can use moon regolith to make concrete. All they really need is water and dirt. Well, that's still a lot of fucking materials that you need to shoot up there. It's very heavy too, right? This explains NASA's goals for going on the moon, which kind of explains what you are talking about.
Between 1968 and 1972, America launched 9 human missions to the moon.
This is so sick.
Successfully touched down, allowing 12 men to walk on the lunar surface.
That was fake! Yeah, right. I know that it was in a movie studio.
NASA's next chapter of lunar exploration, called Artemis, has the task of not just going to the moon to create a long-term human presence on and around it, but also to prepare for ever more complex human missions to Mars. In short, everything we must be able to do here, we must first do here. So, what will an Artemis mission?
Dude, that's so bitch made. It's just like a 3-day fucking journey, dude. Whatever, who cares? Like, it's like fucking flying to Australia and back a couple times.
Look like. Everything is designed and tested with our most important element in mind, the astronauts. This is their deep space, human-rated spacecraft called Orion, built in 3 parts. The crew module, where up to 4 astronauts will live and work throughout the flight. The service module, with life support systems for the crew.
Dude, this is Freelancer, okay? The closer we get to Freelancer, the better it is. And the hilarity is that this will probably happen before that fucking that second game comes out. What is it? Starship, Star Alliance, or whatever the fuck it's called. The same guy that made Freelancer made what? A Star Citizen, yeah. We'll actually have like Star Citizen IRL before fucking Star Citizen comes out. Sorry, Nick Pogo.
Its own engine and fuel reserves, and a launch abort system with engines capable of pulling the crew module to safety during launch should anything go wrong. To accomplish the task of launching our crew and heavy payloads, NASA is building the Space Launch System, comprising of a cargo hold, an exploration upper stage, a massive core stage, and 2 extended solid rocket boosters. Altogether, this is the world's most powerful rocket, and it exceeds
How can you be
the
so
legendary
ignorant as to
Saturn
think it would
V
be
of
so
the
easy? You
Apollo
clearly
era
have no
in
clue how
lunar
much work
space.
goes into this Pug I was on.
Sitting on the launch pad, the entire rocket, fully fueled, weighs just over 6 million pounds, 5.2 million of which is just the fuel. Once ignited, there is no stopping what comes next. All 4 RS-25 engines and the 2 solid rocket boosters come to life, thundering our
The problem with the moon
upwards.
base for that purpose of refueling is that if you already did the work to get into orbit, why land on the moon just to burn more fuel to leave it? Unless the fuel comes from the moon over it. Overall, it wouldn't be as efficient as being in orbit for refuel? Huh. Interesting. You think it'd be freelancer, but it'll be the Battletech space feudalism first?
2 minutes after ignition, the solid rocket boosters are spent and released. 8 minutes after launch, the core stage is depleted and separated. The upper stage fires briefly, placing Orion into a parking orbit around the Earth. Here, the crew reconfigure the spacecraft and check systems to confirm everything is ready for deep space travel. With a go from mission control, the crew reignite the exploration upper stage engines to leave Earth entirely. The exact timing of this maneuver is critical to reach a speed that can escape Earth's
Send VOD to
gravitational
NASA,
pull,
they need this?
but
Yeah.
also
Yo, hey, somebody better fucking send this VOD, especially with all the chatters in here. Like, I think the 26,000 chatters that we got in here probably have a better clue of what to do next than all the fucking nerds over at NASA. We should probably save this VOD for them to, you know, look through.
Poop.
Like, when we talk about this, recognize that we sound like Donald Trump saying we should be able to nuke a tornado, okay?
put Orion on a course that will intersect the moon days later. Once this burn is complete, the upper stage of the SLS is jettisoned and the crew aboard Orion coast for several days toward all that awaits them at the moon. Approaching the moon, we see the fundamental differences between Artemis and Apollo. Instead of requiring Orion to serve as an expendable lunar command module or to carry a constrained lunar lander, the Artemis missions will take advantage of a different approach: pre-staging. Everything needed for lunar missions will be positioned in advance by commercial and international partners. This includes rovers, science experiments, and human-rated systems on the surface. But it also includes a dedicated lunar station in orbit around the moon called Gateway.
Meow.
Here at this station, we can pre-stage a robust
Dude, that's so
lunar
fucking sick. Okay, that's so sick, dude. Come
lander
on.
and establish a strong communications relay. Designed with open standards, the Gateway can be expanded as new missions and partnerships develop, allowing multiple human missions on the moon at the same time and enabling ongoing science to be conducted even between human missions. The
Jesus
Gateway
Christ.
is also capable of adjusting its orbit to allow access to every part of the moon, something the Apollo missions could not do. But the real key
You make rocket fuel from water. A moon base would be our launch pad into the solar system. I'm literally an aerospace engineer. Chat is Pepega. Oh, okay, so I was right. Okay. Someone in the chat who said they're an aerospace engineer said you all are Pepega and said I'm right.
This approach is placing Gateway in a unique halo orbit to perfect the maneuvers
I'm inclined to believe them when they say I'm literally a aerospace engineer because they agree with me.
needed for Mars missions. And with the growing list of commercial and international opportunities, Gateway is the ideal hub between Earth and all that lies beyond. Returning to our crew as they approach Gateway, the Orion must match the elliptical orbit of the station in order to successfully dock. Once on board, pre-selected
yeah.
crew members transfer to the lunar lander, while those assigned to Gateway remain on station. The lunar lander system itself is built for 3 unique steps: descending from the halo orbit of Gateway down to a low lunar orbit, descending from low lunar orbit to the surface, and once the lunar mission is complete, launching from the surface of the moon and ascending all the way back to the orbiting Gateway.
I'm an alien. It's not possible. I'm literally an
Once back
alien.
aboard the Orion spacecraft and undocked from Gateway, the crew fire their engine once to break out of the halo orbit, and once again to sling the spacecraft around the moon, placing it on a multi-day trajectory back towards Earth. As they near the end of this journey, the service module is released, and the crew module is oriented heat shield first. Entering Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour, the friction of air slows Orion considerably, while also subjecting it to temperatures of 5.
I think it's really funny if someone who is working at SpaceX is instead of at work watching the fucking actual product of their labor, watching me watch the fucking landing.
1,000 degrees. With the Orion now at just 300 miles
Literally
per hour,
working on
a
the project
series of
you're
parachutes
watching right now
uniquely
instead of
tested and
fucking...
produced for this moment deploy, decelerating
Yeah, maybe that's why it blew up.
craft to just 20 miles per hour for splashdown. With each successful mission,
Just kidding.
Artemis ushers in the next wave of men and women to explore our
This
moon
is so sick.
and prove that together we are ready
This is
to go
Orion?
beyond.
Oh, sorry. Dude, this shit is so fucking sick. It's so sick. It's so sick. It's so dope. I don't know what else to say about it, okay? You throw all the money at this.